Plant's jab is pretty good as far as jabs go, but today I'm interested in two of its properties in particular. First is that it comes out on frame 2, and secondly, the first hit quickly repeats if you just hold A. These two properties make Plant's jab very easy to clank with, and clanks are what we'll be looking at here. When two attacks of similar strength collide, they clank. When clanking, both parties are usually actionable at the same time. Ground attacks and most projectiles can clank, but aerials and transcendent projectiles will always trade with or go through with attacks. Projectiles or ground attacks that are significantly stronger than your attack will also beat it out, and you will get hit while your attacker is just fine. Weaker forward-moving dash attacks are very easy to clank with, but not every dash attack can be jab clanked, as stronger dash attacks will always beat out your jab, and sweeping dash attacks may hit your pot or head before your jab. After a clank, you and your opponent are usually left in mid-range, where mashing jab or any tilt doesn't really work. Your jab will just miss and can get beat out by tilts, and Plant's F tilt isn't really anything special. Your best option usually is to just shield and punish mashing from your opponent. If your opponent goes for dash grabs after the clank, you can punish with a down tilt and get a nasty combo. If your opponent jumps or retreats, just try to take center stage or make it hard for them to land. When would you actually try to go for a jab clank? Probably the best situation to use this in is when you think your opponent will either go for a dash attack or a dash grab. If they dash attack, you get a clank, which results in the rock, paper, scissors-ish scenario of grab versus mash versus retreat. And unless your opponent has a tether grab, jab will beat it out and can set up a tech chase of low percents. You could potentially think of it as a less rewarding, more situational spot dodge that you don't have to time. Weaker projectiles can also be clanked with, but because you are clanking with a projectile and not your opponent, you will go through the clank animation, but your opponent will not. This means that your opponent may be able to act before you when you clank. Usually, however, your opponent can't punish you for clanking from full screen. They have to start following behind the projectile preemptively to be able to punish you. Because your opponent is usually plus when you clank a projectile, it unfortunately doesn't really help you advance on a camping opponent, but it is a way to deal with projectiles that doesn't involve giving up space or damaging your shield. From here, I'll show some clips from a few more clank situations I've tested, but this is by no means an exhaustive list, so I encourage you to do some testing of your own to find out more.